Dude, so good to have you, man. Come on. I mean, I'm a fan, not just of your creative brain, but like you're just like a baller, man, like an entrepreneur. You're always like thinking ahead of the game. You're always saying, how can I make these things click? You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, that's what I'm about. So
I love it. Well, congrats to you. These are great. I see them all the time. And thanks for supporting my artists over the years. Like, Echosmith, Jojo Dodge. We had Gabriella Rowe every long time. And that means a lot.
well, everyone that you decide to work in or with is quality. They pass a certain filter, right? Like you don't just work with anybody, right?
No, I mean, the thing is now I realize, I'm in my 50s, 57. What? I feel 12 still, really. But the thing is I don't have to do this, but I love doing it. And there's just something about a great artist and the what could be. I'm addicted to it. I had this really long run, with my kids, Echosmith, and they're still thriving and killing it. But for 12 years as a family, we went chase that dream all over planet Earth. And all the firsts for a new artist, a quality artist that's ready, are so meaningful to the team. The first red carpet, first record deal, the first collaboration, the first good check, for all of it, is just so fun because they're so grateful. Yeah, I like to hire young people too. And I have, several businesses and things. I love young people because they haven't been divorced yet or fired 25, 30 times. All the stuff that life could do to you. They're just half-class school positive people. So those are the kind of artists I really try to chase and the kind of people that I work with and hire.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I do want to talk to you about music in a second, but you mentioned your family. And I mean, it's unavoidable that family is like your most important thing in research and everything you do, not just with your kids, but like the relationship you have with your wife and everything. Just tell me a little bit about how that's like your anchor for you two.
Well, when I was little, I always wanted a big family. I just did. And I got married early. I just turned 23. My wife was 18. So right away, she got pregnant. And we were just like, let's have lots of kids. Let's have this fun family. Let's kind of be the architects of our own kind of atmosphere of our family. And we got to like sort of create the kind of family we wanted. We wanted a lovey, snuggly, silly, lighthearted family that loved Jesus, but like loved each other. So since day one, that was the kind of family we wanted. And thankfully, it's the kind of family we got. Yeah. So, chasing a dream with your family, I always tell people, I encourage people, if you can do it, do it. Because with family, like, you don't have to like convince somebody to have passion. They have built-in passion. They have built-in loyalty. And those two things are like so key in your team members. So if you can do it with your family, do it. But yeah, I've been married 33 years now and I adore my wife. I'm still chasing her. And I joke with her and we say, hey, we'll do all this over again. Would you do it? She's like, don't ask me that. Skip. And that's our whole thing. I'm chasing her still. I love her. I squeeze her to us maybe a million times a day. I love her to death and I love my kids. Yeah. And we talk every day. They live 15 minutes from me in Pasadena. We all live 15 minutes from each other and we text and talk 5 times a day.
Amazing. That's what it's about. Well, yeah. And dude, of course, you're the architect and father for the Echosmith project and all that. How were you able to like switch the hats when you were, because like you were like a father driving them across the country, but also like you have to be the businessman too. Was that easy?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, was it easy? No. And most of the time I did it pretty good. A few times I didn't. And somebody else shared those stories. 2 times I failed bad. But, I would purposely say I'm wearing my producer hat. We were in the studio.
Yeah.
And I would physically say that. And now they never change their hats. They're always just like, my kids, and they're always being real and whatever. But I just was really cognizant. And I've always, ever since I started having kids, I was always like, I'm going to remember what it was like to be a teenager and a college age student. I'm in my 20s. I just didn't want my parents to embarrass me. So I purposely just would never embarrass them. There was never like some goofy dad story in the label. There would never be some dumb thing I'd stay in the studio like, you've always done this your whole life. I'd never do that.
Daddy's freaking and shit that you hear all the time.
Yeah, I would just never do that. I just didn't want to embarrass them, but I mostly just wanted to inspire them and be like the guy that could like reset things when they need it. And I think it's a big job as any manager and producer and all the hats I wear. It was just like casting vision again of like, hey, wait a minute, why are we doing this? What's our why? And our why is to spread hope and love. to the whole world through music. So you have to know your why. That was probably my biggest job, but I had a lot of hats on. But there were times I had to learn to do other things and to take a certain hat off. Like they really wanted me to produce the first album. And an old friend of ours who signed them at Warner, he was going to produce the first album. So I needed to be the best co-writer and manager I could be.
Right.
And yes, I wanted to produce that first record, but I wasn't going to get it, and I'm not going to be an idiot about it. So I just became the best co-writer I could. And we wrote life-changing songs. And Warner was really cool about like, hey, you guys have chemistry. We're going to screw with it. We want to help where we can if there's holes. But they were really honoring with that. I have amazing things to say about Warner. I love you. But it wasn't easy, but I just really tried to not embarrass them and constantly say, oh, this is my producer hat, or this is my manager hat, or if they were exhausted on tour, you know, they were adolescents. Of course, junior high and high school at the beginning. And there was times just like, you just got to get mugged. I love you. Your grandma's exhausted and they're doing work tour. There's 30 dates and it's 105 degrees at Tampa or something. Sometimes you just got to hug them and just be like, I know this is hard, but I love you and you got this. And you want some food? You're still daddy's boy, you know, whatever. I wouldn't say that for anybody else, but like sometimes it just filled his cup when he needed it, or any of them, you know? Yeah. But that mission statement is really key. I encourage managers to really have their mission statement and their bands and their artists, because when things are successful, you always plan for success. That's when you need the anchor or your mission statement. And people forget that. So when it's busy and the minutia of the music business and you have 70 things to do in a day as a successful artist, I'm not joking, 20 selfie videos to a radio programmer or wishing someone's kid a happy birthday, or 10 interviews at radio station visits, a show, a meet and greet. Maybe you have the flu that day. Maybe your artist at that time of the month, or feels sick, or maybe it's a time zone change, whatever, yeah? And so my whole thing always was like, examples, we're in Hamburg, and there's 70 things to do, and the Germans are so organized at Warner, Germany, so they don't waste 2 seconds. I'm not joking, 60 seconds, if someone's 60 seconds late, they'll say, yeah, almost that time. And I'm not joking, they say that. So they are, 70 things on this list to do-ish. And most managers would say to their artists, like, man, this is a crappy day. We got to do it. It's promotion, whatever. It's your job. Don't be a wuss, I've heard managers say stuff like that. I don't say that. I say, before I talk about the list, I say, we prayed for somebody to care. Our mission statement is to spread open love to the world. We're in freaking Hamburg. And I have a list that I'm going to share with you in a minute that accomplishes our mission statement. And when we're done today, 1.5 million people have heard your story. This is like an answer to prayer. And they're like, yeah, let's go. And they're high-fiving you because they're reminding them their why. So their why, I didn't give it to them, it's theirs. But then all of a sudden they're grateful for the minutia. Otherwise, artists are burning out on the stuff they need to do. And it's their job to do it. Yeah. So,
but, on that point, Jeffrey, I think, your artists and your kids and other people you work with, they're lucky that they have you in the team. Because like you said, like you're able, artists are the creatives. And there's so much shit going on in the music industry that we gotta do. I kept felt that feel that it's like, it's impossible for an artist now to like do all this shit, this business side and the creative side by themselves, right? Is it not like just a horrible time, like in a way, like really challenging?
It's challenging, but I think it's important to really set your artist up for what the real truth of it is. And the music business feels so sexy. It is like all these shows and red carpets. If you seem famous and people seem like they get these big checks, a lot of that's true. But most of the music business, his work, is the stuff no one sees. And I remind my artists in a positive way, I'm very half glass full, that if you had any other job, there's going to be elements of that job that sucks. That's called life. Yeah, it's called work. If it wasn't like that, it wouldn't be called work. It'd be called vacation. So I think it's important to always be a truth teller in a positive way, but just to remind your artists, it's like, there's aspects of this. If you sign a contract, you're obligated to do your part of it. And there's certain things that only you could do. I can't be you for you. I can't be that for the fans. You have to do that. And so I think you have to remind them that this is a job. And there's some of the stuff that's sexy and some of it sucks. But put your big boy pants on. If you're going to sign a contract with a corporation, right? You have a job to do. You have a job to do. Absolutely. And, Jeffrey, you have a great history of just developing artists, in that. And you mentioned that you look at it like a startup, like a CEO. So, like, what are you looking for when you pick, like, projects? Because talent, we're here in Nashville. That
Every 2 blocks, talent is galore.
I get 100 DMs a day from people on TikTok.
And so what are you looking for? Like, for you, what would
Well, it's really important for me first that there's parental support, because I mostly want to work with artists that are between like 14 and 24.
yeah.
That's the ideal age. And the average age of artists to get signed to a major label is really 14 to 17. That's really
Why do you like that age range?
well. First, again, that goes back to like they haven't been through tons of life where all of a sudden they've been fired, had a bunch of jobs, been divorced already, they got burned out of college. It's just they're fresh and open with life, but I really want to protect it too. So when I'm working with artists, I still see them as like almost like our nieces and nephews. I'm still a dad. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather now. My wife is a mom. She's the tour manager of all of our artists, and she's still the tour manager of Echosmith. We see these kids as they could be our kids. We would never want to take the place of parents. I never say, oh, you're like my music daughter. No, I feel like you're our nieces and nephews. We're going to look out for you. We're going to have our parent hats on. And we even do stuff where it's just like, with all our artists, it's high five or side hugs. It's stuff that no one thinks of. Same thing with staff. If you're a guitar tech, I don't want you giving some juicy front hug to my 15-year-old female artist. No, thank you. It's high fives or side hugs. Like, we think of stuff that nobody thinks of. I mean, we care who the bus driver is. We care who the guitar tech is, who the merch person is, what comes out of their mouth. Are they speaking life? Are they appropriate? Are they half glass full? Can't always get it right, but it's important that inner circle of your artist, who's speaking into them, but especially at that precious age. You know, we want to protect that. And parents are really grateful that we've been through this. We've been through the deepest part of the music business, dealing with major label and millions of dollars. And we've come out of it still thriving, and our kids love each other. They love us. We love them, and they're close as ever. What else would you want if you're a kid that's talented to work with someone like me and Linda? That's exactly what you hope for.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I can write huge songs like Cool Kid to Bright, Over My Head, and work with artists like the Goo Goo Dolls or Zedd or Seal and all these people. So I have both the sides, but at the heart of all of it, I'm a dad. And I care about these young people.
Yeah. And that comes through, man. I mean, even in the clips that you've been doing recently where you're just like walking.
I love it.
You
enough TikTok now.
Well, but you love it because you're giving like real, legit, contributing that like a life advice, man. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's gotta be fulfilling because you are changing my life, you're changing people's lives. You know, like there's, even if I just tap on a heart, but it's like, then it really does.
Don't forget to comment.
That's seriously.
You're like a teenager. I'll tell my artists, like, comment on my post. It's a joke, you know, but not really. I know one of my artists like, hey, could you drive me back to Hollywood? The Uber's being weird. I'm like, sure, I'll drive you. But on the way home, your only thing you got to pay is you got to comment on all my TikToks. And she did. It was funny. But yeah, thanks for saying that. I really want to bring real life advice on that kind of stuff. And I'm still always looking for that next artist. So it's like, that's why I started doing TikTok. And I'll walk and talk. And it's just great, you know.
I mean, your career has so many angles. I love how you place it in your sing flicksmans. It is fascinating. I mean, the way that your tunes just like fit scenes, it's pretty epic. Tell me a little bit how that works, Jeffrey. And like when you're creating that, like, do you have like that in mind? You know, how does your brain work?
Well, I've had lots of careers in the music business. So I did have a tiny little stint of being a composer for commercials. And it sort of happened by accident. And all of a sudden I did like 11 in a row. This is like 15 years ago. Yeah. I did 11 gigantic perfume commercials, and they were all in Europe. Like I did Victoria Beckham. I did lots of them for Guess, Lamborghini. And it just really taught me, I was already writing songs and producing, but it really taught me that like in the movie world and TV and film, every second, like seconds 1 through 3 is just like, you think of it like a verse in a song. Like it's so much smaller and you dial in some more. So I just learned how to like make stuff move in a quicker way and just make people react. But really that came from me learning that stuff in the church world. I used to be a worship leader back in the day at a huge church. And I had to write a song every week on the message. And we had like ska bands and horn section, the DJs. All that taught me in front of thousands of people what moves people and what sort of works. They were kind of my guinea pigs. Yeah. Yeah. But I love syncs. Thankfully, I've had over 300 of them. And it's been a blast. I love when someone attaches a song that I've written to a visual. And that's why TikTok's so powerful. That when you marry those two, it just means so much more. But one more step further, when you write a song and someone attaches it to a memory or something important, like your song Bright, which I'll play at the end of this, people, hundreds of thousands of people got married to that songwriter, first dance or proposed. I never knew that was going to happen. When you attach it to a memory, your song, holy cow, that song is 10 times more meaningful. I'd rather have, 20 important songs than 100 like throwaway top 40 songs. Yeah, stuff where people attach it to something important. I love that.
Let's talk about that, because that is, and we're talking a little bit off camera. I feel like today's world is about volume. It's like so much is crap. I mean, with all due respect, because they just, and yeah, it's about quality. It's about good stuff. How are you, like, Jeffrey, able to, kind of keep your bearings when the whole industry is telling you no? It's the 15-second clip, it's the quick chorus at the beginning, when songs like, Stairway to Heaven or all the shit we like, With or Without You, take like, yes, a minute and a half to get to the good shit,
Right? Or all the Cure songs, like a minute and a half intros.
Exactly. So, like, how do you kind of like, how do you tell your kids and all your clients and yourself, like, no, this is what I believe in?
Well, that's a good question, because it feels like a very ADD world right now, and maybe we all have it. One of my friends says, I think you might have ADD. I go, I don't. Just tell better stories. I'll pay attention. Anyway, not my well be boring, you know what I mean? Anyway, it's really tricky. I think in the end, because I don't have to do this, I just really want things to matter. I really always, in my mind, even as a little boy, I was very thoughtful and careful of, like, gosh, life is short. And I'd always fast forward to hopefully when I'm 90 years old, still walking every day and healthy, but on my deathbed, getting ready to go to heaven with the Father, and I'm surrounded with my kids, and really saying, man, I made every day count. So I just try to, like, when I write, because I don't have to write every day, but I do write a lot of days, I just try to make it count. Yeah. I want to matter. I want it to count. I want the lyrics that I write mean something, again, to attach it to something. And
When you were young, like, thank you for your time, Jeffrey. I know you have a lot going on in Nashville, but this brain of yours, which is so fascinating, just creatively, businessy, thinking what's ahead. I feel like you're like a futurist. Did this always come to you, like when you were like a child, where you were just, when kids were just playing with dolls or whatever, were you like just thinking, yeah, it's all this shit?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was an entrepreneur, and I've always been very entrepreneurial, and I like to go left where people go right. I like that for my artists a lot too. And I always tell them, let's treat it like a startup. Let's treat it like you're a bakery and we're selling cookies and you're the cookie. How do we sell more cookies? And what's the sign like outside? What's the A-frame on sale sign like? What's the music like when people walk in our store? What's it smell like? Is the toilet paper soft? Like, I'm thinking of all of that stuff. And so I've always sort of thought that way. And with my artists, I always say, like, everybody chasing data and they're chasing playlists and they're chasing all the normal. I'm so sick of chasing all the same stuff. I'm thinking, like, why don't we try to get you in a movie? Or what if we started a tech startup? Or what if we did a collab that no one in the world's asking for? Like, I did that so much with Echosmith, and I would chase collabs that no one was ever thinking of, like in Spain or something, or do some brand deal that no one in the world was thinking of. Yeah, I think you have to treat it like that, because it's such a wild, wild west time right now. The gatekeepers are gone. And there used to be 4, to 8 to 15 doors into the music business. A lot of this was before I was fully going in it. But now there's literally like 1 million. Yeah. Someone said there's 100,000 songs being uploaded a day. That's a bummer. So it's like, how do you cut through? But I like to sort of go from big picture, which I'm very big picture, but I like to go small. I say to my artists, let's find your first 1,000 fans out of 8 billion people. Let's find the first 1,000 that'll spend $100 on you in a year. That's a combination of a ticket, merch, maybe a tip on TikTok or Instagram Live. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a meet and greet thing. $100, 1,000 people. That's $100,000. That's a business in America. Yeah. Okay, if you can get to 5,000 out of 8 billion people, can we find 5,000 that'll spend $100 a week? That's $500,000. Yeah, that's a lot of money. 10,000, you're making $1 million. Yeah. Okay, so it's just like, think big, but get really practical. I would encourage artists, and we all do this. We're our heads in the clouds. My dad used to call La La Land. He said, Jeffrey, you're in La La Land. I'm like, I love it there. I have real estate. I'm like friendly. And we'd like to go to La La Land. But in real terms, how do we find that first 1,000 fans? Yeah. Yeah. And then loving those people, like they're your pride and joy. I make all my artists go to the merch booth, and they're meeting fans, they're taking stuff, these are signing stuff. If my artists won't go back there, I have serious doubts about how much they want this.
Wow. Yeah,
You have to love your fans. I can't do that for you.
yeah, absolutely. What do you feel with AI? I feel like there's two camps, the people that are like cats out of the bag, let's something go for it. But there's people that are like, that's not real. Like,
It's real. It's here. People are doing it. I'm not such a huge fan of it with the music side. I screwed with it. Where it's like, oh, well, find me a better bass line. But it's just so plasticky and weird. I like it for other things. Sure. I love Claude for like making my presentations cooler stuff and spell check. I'm awful with spelling. I think we also are fat thinkers, so to speak. And I one time told my daughter, Sydney, I said, hey, Sid, great job last night. I'm proud of you. Love, Dad. And my phone accidentally said, hey, STD, great job with lady night. Love, Dad. I'm like, dude, I need spell check. Hey, STD, that's not nice to say to your daughter. So anyway, I like it for those reasons, sure. But I think some of the stuff is stupid. But yeah, I mean, I love technology. Sure. I love apps. I love creating stuff. But from the music side, it's too plasticky.
too plastic. It's too, yeah. All right, let me agree with this because you're going to play a song for us, every family. So, just like your music fan hat for a minute, I feel like we share the same like music takes. Like you were at the Sphere watching U2 when it first opened. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you like the same bands that I do in the sense that they make you feel. They have that emotional connections to the big songs, that big sounds. And I feel like all the people that you work with, even if they're like singer-songwriter, they have big songs, big sound. It's just like, tell me a little bit about the artists that like have inspired you and that you continue to get.
I mean, of course, old school. Yeah. I was a massive U2 fan. I grew up in Coronado down in San Diego, and me and my friends were the first ones. Me and my one friend were the first ones that loved U2. We kind of got made fun of for it. And I had bootlegs, all kinds of weird stuff. And I think I saw them like 18 times years. But I love alternative. I always have. I grew up in San Diego. I loved Brit rock. I loved all that stuff. So I love everything British. I love Sam Fender. I love stuff like that. Of course, I love Gracie Abrams and all that, a lot of America stuff. But I just love everything from the 1975 to Sam Fender to like old school Seal stuff still. I got to work with him, I just love alternative. But I do make a lot of country music too. I do a ton of pop. I'm just a fan of the songs. Yeah, I'm a fan, like, tell my artist, if it sounds good on an acoustic guitar, then whatever I do as a producer is going to be great. But if it doesn't sound good there, and if you don't sound good there, then the production's carrying a lot of it. And that's the problem. You really need to be good, because a lot of times in a career, you go to a radio station, you'll go visit, iHeart, you'll go visit the label, and you'll just have an acoustic, and you better sound good without a PA. You need to sound good. So I feel like if it sounds good and honest with an acoustic guitar, man, I'm going to be a fan. Love it. Awesome, dude. Yeah, dude.
Awesome. Thanks for coming. Thanks for having me. I do want to. So, did that feel with the honor? Thank you, brother.
Yeah. I was just in the studio and I've been screwing with this rubber ton. Beautiful guitar. Yeah, it sounds kind of lo-fi. Well, I'm going to play Bright for you. This is one of my most favorite songs in the world that I've co-written. And I just love the lyric. And I know you love that song. And it's really lo-fi on this. I'm just going to play for you because it's still one of my favorites.
So that's a funky one. That song. That's a great song. It goes like this.
I think the universe is on my side. Heaven and earth have finally aligned. And life is good. And that's the way it should be. You sprinkle stardust on my pillowcase. It's like a moonbeam brushed across my face. And nights are good, and that's the way it should be. You make me sing ooh, la la la. You make a boy go ooh, I'm in love, love. Did you see that shooting star tonight? Were you dazzled by the same constellation? Do you and Jupiter conspire to get me? I think you and the moon and Neptune got it right. 'Cause now I'm shining bright, so bright, bright, so bright, bright, so bright, and I get lost in your eyes tonight.
Thank you for tuning in. Click here to subscribe and get the latest from the show, including exclusive behind-the-scenes footage and once-in-a-lifetime performances. And as always, thank you for making J-Rock Concerts Media part of your day.